and they come in pairs. They're always created in pairs.
That's what, they happen in pairs and then they copulate.
Yeah.
They touched each other.
And that annihilates to create energy. Those particles, when they annihilate each other, the way the energy forces work is that the electromagnetic forces around create from nothingness a pair of particles, and the pair of particles, when they join, they copulate, actually spontaneously results in the creation of energy. This is a very well accepted scientific principle and verified in experiment.
They're saying if you disturb the akasha, then human beings will not know peace in their life. Once akasha is disturbed, then psychological disturbances will become enormous. I think you're a living proof. Nobody said akasha is space, we said akash is ether. That's not an appropriate translation, but reasonably. Ether is not space, ether is a certain dimension of existence, subtle. When we say space, we are talking about kala or non-existence. We are talking about Shiva, that which is not. When we say akash, we are talking about that which is. Here you are. Here you are as a human being. There are many levels from grossness to subtleness here. If you have constipation, you still have something gross inside you. Above that, there is a little more refined aspects of body. Above that, there is a lung full of air. Above that, there's a brain and thought and emotion and so many things. And there is life going in and out. And there is akasha involved. There is water, there is physical material, there is air, there is temperature, there's fire, and there is akash which makes this. Don't try to understand that, just get this right, because this is a mini cosmos. So if you perceive this right, you know that because today there is no question about this anymore. We've always been saying this in the yogic dimension, but today modern physics has come up with what is called as the constructional theory, which is talking about how the design factor in the universe, whether it's atomic or cosmic, is fundamentally same design. You as a human being with this kind of form, a grasshopper, an earthworm, a bird, a crawly creature somewhere, all of you have same fundamental design. From atomic to cosmic, the fundamental design is same. The complexity and sophistication of how this design evolves into multiple forms is different. Your design is far more complicated and sophisticated compared to that of an amoeba, but the fundamental design is still same. Only the complexity is increasing. So you don't go about trying to observe the cosmos because you don't have a gallery view of the cosmos. You cannot. There's no place where you can sit and observe cosmos. And in fact, you cannot observe anything except what happens within you. Even if you take a telescope and look at the star is happening only the way it projects in your mind, isn't it? Yes? You don't see any star. This is the reason why you see stars which don't actually exist. Many stars that you see don't exist, but they're projected in your mind in a certain way, and that's how you know it. Or in other words, you only can experience this, or this is the only doorway through which you can experience anything. Whether you want to experience the food that you eat, or the air that you breathe, or the people around you, or the world around you, or the cosmos, you can only experience it the way this is. If this is very clear, you will see it the way it is. If it has taken many forms and shapes, you will see it in so many different ways. These days, I think largely the mirrors have gotten flat, you know. Even now, I think if you buy some cheap mirror, you will look like this. But if you get certain types of concave mirrors, you can definitely reduce your weight in a day. You just go stand, you look like a dash-on. So, the mirrors give different impressions of who you are. Suppose you always looked at your face with a slightly distorted mirror. After some time, you will assume that's how you look. Yes or no? Yes or no? You think that's how you look. Because every day you looked at yourself and that's how you looked, and you think that's how you look. So even now, you think the world looks this way simply because that's how it's projected in your mind. If you evolve this mind to a more refined surface, that there's absolutely no any kind of wavering in it, it is perfectly plain mirror, then it will reflect everything the way it is, but upside down. You know, in the mirror, everything is like this. So now you must have the intelligence to correct this without distorting it. See, most people can't turn a dosa around properly. If they try to turn the dosa around, it'll become those kind of things. It takes certain skill to take something like this and turn it around without distorting it. So this is the problem with the mind. One thing is, already it is wavy or choppy, whichever way you kept your mind, but it is definitely wavy. You're seeing the world in the wavy mirror and it's looking certain way. And most people have never attempted to turn it around because they think that's how it is. When you want to turn it around, it takes a certain amount of skill to be able to turn it around without distorting it. So you have two problems. One is to first flatten the mirror so that it is undistorted, and now a much bigger task of wanting to flip it around without any distortion. So that is… we have not approached that in your life yet. First to make the mirror absolutely without distortions. We still working on that one. Is this air very much a part of you as a life? Those who do not say anything, we're going to throttle you. Your life is spread all over here, isn't it? This is physical. Even in this physical, there are many levels of crudeness and subtlety, isn't it? The very gross elements in the body, there are subtler elements in this body, there is thought, there is emotion, there is air that you breathe. Or in other words, life is always from a hardcore crudeness to many subtleties. Depends how much you spread, that is how much subtlety you have in your life. How wide your wings spread, that much of subtlety is possible. So now what we're referring to as Akasha is a subtle dimension of life. If you suck out the Akasha, you cannot exist here. If we suck out the air from this hall, you cannot exist here. Though you cannot see it, still it is more vital than your hair, I'm sorry. Because there is more money spent on hair care on the planet, definitely a lot more than the brain care. You see where our values are. If you pull out all your hair, you can still live. If I cut your ears, you can still live. If I cut your nose, you can still live. If I just suck out this air that you cannot even see, most of the time you're not even conscious whether it exists or not. If I suck out the air, you cannot live for a moment, isn't it? If we suck out the Akasha, you cannot live for a moment. There is a very… there's a temple in Karnataka, in southern India, which is called the Annapurneshwari temple. Anybody from Karnataka? You been to Annapurneshwari? So, at the rear part of the temple where most people may not go, because I am always poking into nooks and corners, others are all happy looking at the goddess. There is an inscription in Hale Kannada, that means the old type of Kannada, which is over 3,000 years old. There's an inscription talking about how to design an airplane in a temple. And they're saying, you can do like this, but if you fly these machines, it will disturb the ether in the planet. If it disturbs the akasha, when they say akasha, don't think space. When they're saying if you disturb the akasha, then human beings will not know peace in their life. Once akasha is disturbed, then psychological disturbances will become enormous. I think you're a living proof. I think there was an old movie by Manoj Kumar which said, sure, airplanes and the disturbance that it's causing, and he's glad his ears went away one day. Something like that, yes? So, if we suck out the akasha, this physical body will not exist for a moment. So when we say akasha, we are still talking about 5 elements. As you yourself in the question you mentioned, among the 5 elements, akash is one. So when we say elements, we are not talking about empty space. We are talking about one more substance. Like earth, like water, like air, like fire, we are talking about one more aspect of 5 elements. So do not mistake akash for empty space.
Which is what I believe scientists are trying to figure out in some way. So, if I have to describe it in some articulation, we can only say it's nothingness. When I say nothingness, the moment I say nothingness, immediately in normal English language it has a negative connotation of not being anything or not worth anything. If I say you are nothing, it is understood as you're no good. So I'm not referring to nothing in that sense. Probably we would understand it better if you put a hyphen between no and thing. It is not a thing. It is non-physical in nature. So whatever you try to say about it in definition or in description is bound to be wrong even before you utter it, because it's non-physical in nature. So this non-physical nature, if you look at it, it has a fringe nature. It has a core nature which is absolutely non-physical, and it has a fringe nature which is dark, and it's a transition from non-physical to physical. I don't know, we should ask an ophthalmologist why it is so, but when I really look at the sun or even the moon, particularly when I see the moon, people always… the sun is very much true, but it could be because you are getting blinded by the sun, which I don't, because I used to just stare at the sun for hours at one time. I always see a black halo around the sun, not a white halo. The same with the moon. I think I've asked so many people, they all see white halo. But I always see a black halo around the sun, because I see the same thing within myself. Probably people will think I'm the devil if I say this. The very core of what this is, around that there's always a black halo. And this halo gradually is transiting from non-physical nature to physical nature, which is dark in nature. So, we traditionally, in yogic terminology, we say, Shiva, when he sits still, he is nothing. The word Shiva means, Shiva means that which is not. That is, he is not. What is creation, what is not is the source of creation. So when you look at this aspect, the very core aspect is a a non-existence. And immediately next to that, before the physicality happens, there is a dark face. We call something dark, and always in language and literature and in normal social connotation, the word dark is always understood as remote or even threatening or dangerous or negative. This is essentially because of the way our visual apparatus are made. Suppose you were an owl, you always would think dark as a very bright thing. So, the human perspective of dark being a negative aspect is a very limited way of looking at it. Our sense of vision, essentially. So when I say because of lack of terminology, or if I invent a new word, it won't be any better than dark, so I settle for dark. So this dark dimension is where you can understand the nature of creation. Beyond that, the total non-existent state, that is not a place to understand, that's a place to just merge, which is not the interest of a scientist. And mathematics will not go there. So, in the yogic tradition, we say when he moves, Shiva is a dark one. Always Shiva has been referred to as a dark one. In his ultimate state of Shiva, as Sadashiva, he is utterly still and nobody can feel him unless you're willing to become one with it. But when he moves, his initial phase of movement is dark. When he really comes out and becomes a part of the world, then he is light. So this is, in my perception, somewhere people who saw the nature of creation within themselves are trying to explain this in a personified way. In his core, he is absolutely still. You cannot know where he is. You can only become one with him. If you're willing to be sucked into him, it's all right. But if you want to, in any way transact with him, it is not possible there. But when he begins to stir, he's dark. There, if you want to go, you need courage. You are willing to transcend. You are willing to leave everything that you know and enter into a completely different area where you do not know what's the end for you. Or if you want to transact with him properly, when he becomes light, which is creation, you can transact with him, you can see everything as Shiva and experience it, you can be devout about it, you can worship it, all that. But when you go to the dark phase or beyond that, there is no worship, there is no nothing, it is just dissolution. Which today I feel the modern physics is very much going in this direction. According to the law, according to the yogic law, how it goes is, Shiva was asleep. That means he became totally dead. But he's there, he's still, absolutely. And then Parvati or Shakti came and moved around him 3 times. Then he stirred up. It's from then creation happened. They clearly say they did not copulate. She just went around him 3 times. And the basic force of creation began to happen, which was not physical, which was a transition. So this dark face around Shiva began to expand. And then Parvati said, "Is this your creation? Look at this, what you created, just one dark wave of nothing. Is this what you're capable of?" Then he woke up. And then they copulated. Out of their copulation, the whole creation happened.
It could be a metaphor for…
It is a metaphor.
Scientific understanding of forces and particles.
We have experiments where in absolute vacuum state, if you apply electromagnetic force, suddenly virtual protons and virtual neutrons
particles
happen.
come. Yes, yes,
It doesn't even have to touch.
yes,
Just around that, if you apply
Yes.
electromagnetic force,
Yes.
virtual protons and virtual neutrons happen.
yes,
So he said, what you're saying is very similar. She just goes around
yes.
and creation begins.
The spontaneous creation
Yeah.
of particles happens, and they come in pairs. They're always created in pairs.
That's what
which
they…
is interesting.
they happen in pairs and then they copulate.
Yes.
They touched each other.
And that annihilates to create energy. Those particles, when they annihilate each other, the way the energy forces work is that the electromagnetic forces around create from nothingness a pair of particles, and the pair of particles, when they join, they copulate, actually spontaneously results in the creation of energy. This is a very well accepted scientific principle and verified in experiment.